Hey everyone, welcome to a Render Spaz video tutorial, and today we are going to model and render this fancy looking pen in 3D Studio Max, and we're going to also use Vray Next as a render for getting us a look that we have in front of us. Alright, so let's jump to it and let's go. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to head over to our render settings, and we're going to come up and change it to Vray Next, or Vray GPU Next. Then we're going to head over to our panel here. We're going to create a plane object. All right, so we're just going to create the length and width to match our image plane. All right, so we're going to just jot that down here. So roughly in this area here. So we're just going to scale it down a bit. Right, just so we can get it in a decent size, and we're going to rotate it right 90 degrees and then 180 the other way here, just so we can face it the right way here in our front viewport. Okay, so we're going to get this in position. Right, once we have that all set up, I'm just going to do some moving here, just kind of center this just a bit. Right. Okay, we just want to center our plane. We're going to come over here and make sure our segments are low. We don't need any extra segments. We're going to lock this guy in place and freeze it. And now we can start to draw out our splines. So this should be a pretty straightforward process. We're going to come into our spline tool, and we're just going to drag out a line like so. And we're just going to kind of just do a rough outline here. Nothing too detailed, just kind of going through where we see some differences in the surface here, some height differences, and then we're just going to close this off. Once we have this all closed off, we can then come into these points and start modifying them and pushing them around so that we can get more closer to the pen's profile here. All right, so each of these points now can be dragged out, and then we're just using our fillet tool to round off some of these corners. All right, and let's just name this pen. Right, go to the line tool again here, and let's create our second piece, which is the cap. We'll make sure we get that going. This way we're kind of tackling both objects at once here. We'll round off our corners and just do some tweaks here just to drag them down. All right, so the fillet tool again, we just come in and add some more segments, and we can call that the cap. And we're going to come over to our lathe modifier and just drag that in. And as you can see, we already got a pretty good result so far. We can do that with the cap as well. And we're just going to make sure we center our axes to the center of the grid, so that this way everything will match. Make sure the X's are set at 0. We're right now getting some little funkiness here, so we just got to kind of come down. Let's flip our normals and make sure everything is welded. Weld that core. Same with this one here. You want to take these two end segments and or vertices, and then just make sure you weld them. Okay, so we're going to open this guy up a little bit just so we have some hollow through the cap here. Set that to corner, and then we can just move this guy around. So as you can see, it's just using the spline tool just to pretty much get ourselves a profile that will match the cap, that will match our base of the pen. And now we can see that this will fit nicely, and everything will work perfectly with the cap and the base of the pen. So up here we got a little section that we have to do here, and that's going to be a little bit more complicated because it's got flat corners all around. So we're pretty much doing like a hexagon kind of style of geometry here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to we're going to see what will work best for us right now. I think if we use a cylinder, we can try that and bring this guy up. And we maybe just move the segments around in our sides so that we can get around 7, maybe move it into 8 or so, just to try to get a match, get it pretty close here. So that seems to work between those two. Let's see if I move this around, we get just enough sides, the proper amount of sides. Okay, I believe that would be around 7 sides or so. So we'll just kind of bring this closer to the cap, or to the base. Once we have that, go. So we'll just bring this up, and then we'll just kind of taper in the end piece here. Grab these guys, and we can round off, pretty much round off the top part. Grab this edge here, and this guy here, and then loop. And we're going to also then connect and make some more little vertices here, just to kind of drag these up to round off the top ends here. Okay, so that's going to just kind of round things off for our sides. So it's going to kind of try to clean this up a bit too as well. So if I grab each side of these here, just these polygons, let's just see what happens here if we get these faces. Okay, once we have that, I'm going to try to chamfer instead. Yeah, that should be pretty good. That rounded off. That looks pretty good right there. I think we're getting the result that I wanted. I was actually going to go for selecting the face and then using a inset, but I decided to grab each of the edges and do a chamfer. So that seemed to help to round off that corner to kind of mimic these hexagon kind of end piece of the pen. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to add a cylinder, and we're just going to kind of finish this end piece of the cap off. And what we're going to do is just kind of bring down bring up these sides. So we're going to jack this up to around, let's see, around 56 should be a good number. Okay, and we'll start to then position this just a bit more of the sides here around these guys off by just grabbing the edges freely here. Okay, grab these as well. All right, so with a little bit of practice, you're able to just get the right angle. That looks good by the eye, and I think that we're getting a lot closer here towards the end, so I'm just going to come over here and just kind of jumping around a bit. We're just going to then round off some of these little steps here, and also what we're going to do is throw in some of the threads of the pen here. So we're just going to kind of roughly add some refine some segments here and just kind of add some points. Okay, so we're going to just bring some of these up, some down, just so we get the thread look. We're just going to round them off with a fillet. Okay, and then once we have the fillet done, we can just then come up and start to build the clip, the pen clip for the cap. So we'll just use a plane. Create a plane, and we'll just kind of drag it up and kind of just trace this. Okay, so we're just going to move this. We're going to drag this plane up, and then just move those points in the proper spot. I'm just going to make a cut all the way through the center here, and we are going to then. Well, let's take a look here. We're going to go through our. Let's bring this down a little bit. Actually, what we're going to do is grab this side, right, these edges. Just going to bring them out a little bit and up, okay, in the orthographic view. Just going to round this off just a bit before I do a symmetry. All right, we're just going to kind of get the shape that we want. We're going to come down to, over to symmetry, and we're going to mirror this over to the other side. All right, so we're starting to get kind of the look that we want, but we still have a little bit of ways to go here. We just have to grab the centers of these parts and center them out in the grid. Okay, and once we have that, we can then grab, so we'll grab the middle here, right, just make sure these guys are together. And we don't want to pull everything here. It's got something here just in the one side here. It looks a little bit like we're grabbing a point, but that's okay. I'm just going to bring it up, bring these guys down just a bit. Now we're just going to shape out the clip, just to round it off, kind of the side view and just kind of start to build this a bit. Okay, we'll apply a turbo smooth, and we'll start to now add some detail here. So I'm going to chamfer just the center area of the edges. We're going to grab this point here and just kind of go down, just reshape this a bit. Okay, just want to make sure we get some get quads in here as best we can, all right? Just so it prevents any pinching. All right, so we're very close here to getting a good shape of the clip. Now we just need to start to round the end pieces off here. Let's just bring that down a bit. All right, so we'll just grab some of these points, like so. Okay. I'm just gonna kind of do some tweaks, round this guy off a bit. All right, so it's not looking too bad. We're just gonna have to now see. Just gonna grab these edges here. Let's add another segment in the middle, okay, or an edge. All right, it's a little rough right now. We're just gonna clean it up. Just gonna maybe try to grab these guys and just bring it a little bit forward. Let's remove the set of edges that I recently created there in the middle of that triangle piece. This seems a little bit smoother this way. So let's now straighten out these guys a little bit, just get it a little bit more flush with each other. And we're going to add a shell modifier. This is going to give us some thickness to the cap, or sorry, to the clip. But we just want to make sure it's in the right spot here before we got some kind of issue up here. So I'm just going to make sure that we can create some edges. I tried the shell, and maybe what I'm going to do now is just add some additional edges to the end, and that should just give us a little bit of thickness because we're going to press this against the cap anyways, so we're not going to really see the backside. Okay, so after that, we are pretty good. We just now have to do the this end piece here where the ink comes out. All right, so this is a unique piece, but we can kind of do the same technique that we did with the clip. We just need to set up some plane, and we're going to start just dragging out some additional polys. We can just now start to move the vertices in the proper spot and just kind of drag up, move it, keep dragging up, and just kind of placing these guys in the proper spot, right? So we just get an accurate shape here. And then we're just going to cut this hole out. So we're just going to use the cut tool. We're just going to kind of go down here like so. I think it just ends about there. Grab this corner here and just kind of create that shape. And let's just put that segment there for now. Let's just plan where we're going to cut this hole. I think that should work for now. We still got a end gone there, but that's okay. We'll get to that in just a moment. Okay, so we're going to move these guys up. Start just adding some supporting edge. So this is pretty straightforward. So you can see I'm just using a lot of the orthographic view. I'm just kind of moving things around just to freely get some kind of appropriate shape for this, for the writing part of the pen, I guess, what you call it, but where the ink spews out. Okay, so we're going to add a symmetry modifier. This is going to now give us the mirror side. And we'll be able to now just come in here to the tip part of the pen. We just now to make sure that these guys are not crossing each other. So we're going to center them out, each vertex. Okay, that's the wrong one. Just going to make sure that this is not going to look strange. Still got some work to do up here. So we're just going to now create a nice line going through, because what it has there is a gap in between. So we just want to make sure that we have that gap, and that's looking accurate to our reference image. So at this point now, we can start to then add a bend modifier to start to just kind of give it, to round it off. So what we're going to do is grab our bend modifier. I'm going to move our gizmo just slightly down, and then we're just going to start to play with the direction, right? So what we want to do now is go in the Y form and just kind of find a good spot for it here. Let's see where we can actually create our bend. It's not so bad. We're just going to kind of move this up ourselves. We have the tip kind of bending. Convert that to an edible poly. And then what we're going to do here now is come up. Just going to collapse some of these tabs and open up our edit geometry, but then go to our soft selection, and then we're going to just start to bend this area here. We're just kind of shaping it ourselves. This way we can actually pinpoint sections of the tip here. Okay, so we use Turbo Smooth, but right now we still need to get rid of some of these extra edges. It's kind of giving us some interesting results that we don't want. So I'm going to just come over here. I'm going to take these edges, or those faces, sorry, and delete them out. Okay, we'll grab this guy right here. We're going to chamfer it down just to see what kind of, grab these edges, a loop. Right now I'm actually not even working in symmetry. I'm just going to try to get this to do what I want it to do here. Okay, we're just going to get this like nice spacing. That looks pretty good. And then we're just going to have to take a look, make sure that get the back side as well. I could have did this a little bit earlier in the modeling process of the pen tip here, but it's okay. I'm just gonna got some issues here because we added our shell modifier, so we're gonna have to come in here and restructure this. That's okay. Right, so it's a little bit messed up. So let's just fix this. Okay, we got some holes. Just gonna grab some of these edges here. Okay, I'll start doing some target welds and cap these guys up. We're starting to clean this up. Okay, we're just gonna have to add some edges. Yeah, this is gonna be a little triangulated, but that's okay. We're just gonna try to see what this result we're gonna get. And we add the Turbo Smooth back in. That's not so bad. Okay, so the next step, we are now going to get into rendering our pen, and we're going to now open up Vray GPU Next, and what we're going to do here is just lay out how we want to do our materials. So what I'm doing here is just adjusting the camera. I'm going to split the camera view up, or the viewport up, into two pieces here. When we're looking through the camera, we can use Vray RT to then start working on our lighting and materials. So we lay down a camera, and we're going to create a plane right behind our object here, so that can be our backdrop. Okay, so that's where the fun begins. This is where we get to make this pen look real, or make it look, give it some love. So what we're going to do now is come down and open up our Vray GPU. Okay. Or the GPU properties here, and then just make sure everything's working in our active shade. Okay, so it's going to go through, and we're going to add extended viewport, active shade. It's going to make sure that we are using our GPU. Okay, I'm just going to also go through some of these settings here, just making sure. If I start the APR, that's great. What I can actually do here is maybe just trying to figure out our output size here, what we're going to work with. Okay, so that should give us enough here. Now, if I'm using an extended viewport, but right now at this point, I'm going to use the IPR or lock our camera view. And we can start to now work with our pen. So we're going to add a Vray light in, and we're just going to drag this out to the side. Okay, and we're going to now just bring down our multiplier just so we can start to get a nice light balance here. That's what we're looking for. So what we need to do is maybe we're just going to add some material to the pen itself, and we can start working on our lighting. But right now we have our one single light, and then from there we can then take a look at our properties here. So let's just get this back wall to be a little bit more lit up. Okay, I'm going to use a self-illuminate matte, and we're going to go into our gradient, and we're just going to kind of give ourselves a little bit of a vignette to the corners here. All right, so that's what we're looking for. Just going to darken this up. I just want to see what kind of result I can get from this. Okay, because I don't want this to be 100% white. I don't want it to take over the pen. So we just need to kind of soften the white up a bit. I'm just going to give it a nice look. But that right there is a little sharp. See if I can fix this vignette, soften it up a bit. Bring up our multiplier. As you can see, that's starting to actually look pretty good there. Not too bad. All right. So we're just getting a little bit of a backdrop here. And this is going to work quite nice. And I can start to now work with the Vray lights. So as we have a plain light down, we can copy that, bring one over the other side, and we can start to balance out our lighting. So we can now just kind of use this right light here that we have on the side of the pen. We can actually now try to give ourselves a little bit of a rim light around the other side here. Okay, once we have a decent light setup for now, just so we can work with our materials, we're going to set up a Vray material. We're going to call this the pen base. We're going to just apply that. Okay, and we're also going to come up, we're going to see what our gloss will look like here. And you can see where our two light strands are. And we can then add some roughness to try to bring up our, to see where we can get. We're looking for like a little bit of a metallic look to this pen. It's kind of it's a plastic, metallic plastic. So we're just going to try to get something close. Just something that's going to look like the reference. Okay. Now, another thing that you could do is you could try, and this is a trial and error, but this is, you could try doing the car paint to get a little bit of flakes and metallic look to it. This is one way you can go about it. Now, I usually like making my own custom materials, but for this, it kind of gives you an idea of what you could possibly do with the car paint material. You don't always have to use it for automotive or anything transportation wise. You can actually use it for products and get some kind of nice flake through it. Let's just see what kind of results we can get here. So you can see we have a nice metallic look. If we just play with our flake scale a bit, starting to break up the gradient within the paint. So we zoom in there. You can see that we're getting some decent results here. And what's really strange about this right now is we're getting like this black speck around the image. This is when we're applying the flake. So I don't know what issue is going on there. I don't know if you guys can see that on the screen, but I'm kind of having a problem with this at the moment. So what we need to do is, I don't know if I'm going to abandon this for now because I just want to move forward and figure out what the issue is. And it's probably either a setting that I have going on here, or this is just a glitch. But you can get different results with the car paint. Shouldn't have the black speck issue, but as you can see, this is not looking legit here. This is looking pretty bad. But as I'm playing with the flakes, we're getting different results, but it's not exactly the result we want. Let's see here. So we add some code to this. We can add some shine. So it's just strange with the I don't know if you guys know what's going on here with the black specks. If there's a problem that you've encountered with this before and figured out a solution, or something that I'm doing wrong, please leave a comment below. But right now I'm just going to keep going forward. I'm going to grab all these faces. We're just going to then move up and grow just until we get to a certain spot here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to detach part of the pen here. So this way I can make this a chrome material. So come down to materials, Vray material, right? We're going to then just create our chrome. Okay, and I just want to get a nice result here. Alright, and then I'm just going to add, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm using a multi material here. So I'm just going to create a base, and then I'm going to actually come in here and check up our Fresnel, just so we have a little bit more of a diffused base underneath our code. So it just gives us a little bit like the chrome. We have the chrome, but then we get a little bit of a scatter of diffuse. I hope that looks a little bit better for the chrome. We still got to do our lights. We still got to reposition those guys, but for now, we do have that chrome material. We're going to also add it to the top piece of the pen as well. We're going to come in and let's make sure everything's labeled up. Still not happy with the car paint, but I did want to add this to the video because I was working with the car paint, and for some reason I had this issue. We're going to try to figure something out with that, but for now I'm going to end up then switching out the car paint for my own custom material that I'm going to create for the pen cap, or sorry, for the pen itself and the cap. So we're just going to continue just adding more materials here. It's pretty straightforward, but yeah. I don't know if this will be in the final result. If I was to render this in production, give the production settings, but she's not doing us any kindness here. So what we're going to do is going to grab another V-Ray material and let's apply it back to the pen. Let's just see what happens. Does it actually remove the black specks? Yeah, it's gone. So I don't know if that was something to do with the flakes or what was going on there, but let's just create something interesting here for our plastic. All right, so I'm gonna come in and just bring up the glossiness so that we can just start to kind of get more of a metallic plastic look here. And we're already seeing very good results. So just spending that time on the car materials was just a little bit tough for what's happening there. So we're just going to now position these lights a bit more. And we're starting to get some interesting results. Okay, and I'm just going to play with the lighting just a bit here. Smoothing the, it's pretty much our key light here. We're just going to move this around a bit just to kind of show off more of the chrome, right? So I don't want all the lights to be right on the side of the pen. I'm going to also add a gradient ramp to it, and that actually gives us a nice look right there. You can see that it kind of gives us a fall off between the lights, so it looks a little bit more natural instead of a hard edge to the lighting. You know, so we just got to make sure now that we kind of move our gradient around just to kind of get to a better spot here. You can see the results as I'm moving the gradient. You can actually see the fall off in the edge of the lighting through the chrome. Okay, but this is actually looking pretty good. We're getting some very fast results with Vray Next. Okay, and let's see here. Just trying to add a little bit of noise, right, to the base now. We're starting to work on the base of the pen here just to kind of get some breakup. That's going to just help for close-ups, like that we can see that there's some texture in the cap and the base. All right, so both of these have to they're gonna have the same material applied. And then over here at the end, we're gonna also need to then add that chrome. So we got to break that up somehow. But right now I'm just kind of trying to get a look. I'll bring this light back out. Copy it. We'll just see where I can position that. So see, I'm moving the light around. I'm actually getting some interesting results. So what I'm going to do here is just bring down the multiplier a bit by 0.3. I'm going to copy another light here. Just move this. Get this a little bit smaller. We're just going to focus on the end piece of the base here. We just want to make sure we light up that area as well. We don't want to leave that guy behind. So I'm just going to try to see what we can do with this. Just to make this look a little bit nicer here. So just going to position this light a little bit more. Let's get something more interesting. Okay, and then let's just move down back over here. Multitasking a bit here. Just going to keep that light up there for a second here. I'm just going to grow that. And let's apply our chrome material. I can see both of the ends, and I'm going to come back up. I'm going to apply a little bit of a bump map here. All right, not so much like that, like tin foil. I'm just going to bring a fractal noise to this bump. I'm just going to bring down the bump to about 0.2. We just want a little bit off the surface, right? So that way, when the light hits it a certain way, you're going to feel like it's got some texture there as well. That's going to add to what we have for our little flakes, our fake flakes that we've created in this new material. So back to this lighting again. We're going to copy and duplicate this light, and then we're going to just move this around, get a nice little backlight here. All right. Just add more shape, just to kind of give the pen a little bit more of a round look. We're going to copy, duplicate another light on the other side. Right, we're going to just drag this way out, just so that we can actually cover both the cap and the base of the pen. Same with this guy. So now you can see kind of the lighting going on the edges here. All right, so this is looking not too bad. I've still got a little bit of work to go here, but pretty much what we have is a very cool looking pen that we've created from scratch. So if I render this at a higher res, you can get some nice results here. So we can see what we're looking at. And right now with Vray Next, everything is very fast. There's major improvements in the in Vray, but we just got we're a little bit because we've amped up our output resolution here. We need to then just bring down the bump quite a bit, just because it's a little much. But as you can see right now, the results. So this video is also sped up a bit, but I'm telling you guys, the Vray Next has been pretty cool. It's very fast. They've done a lot of improvements over at Chaos Group. But what we have here, guys, is a beautiful looking pen. You know, I hope you guys learned something from this. You can do whatever you want with this pen. I'm going to provide the file for you guys so you can play around with it as well. I did add some, after this video tutorial, I actually added a little bit more detail to the pen just around the base. I gave it some nice ribbed bumps throughout that helped. But also, we can now use this for whatever it is that you need in your projects. You can use something like this or create something like this that can give you, decent results from scratch. I mean, it's a simple object, but it just goes to show that you can create anything. And then using the new Vray, it's a phenomenal render engine. It always has been over the years that I've worked with it. So we're just right now coming in and we're using the Vray. We're going to use the buffer and then come in and add some image effects and then just tweak the image inside here. We can add some temperature, some curves, just to kind of give it a more unique look to the image. So a little bit of color correction inside the buffer here. So that's going to conclude our video tutorial for today, and I hope you learned something from it. You can go in and create your own pen or take this file and learn from it. So thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed to RenderSpaz. Check out renderspaz.com for more video tutorials or this channel, and please like, subscribe, and we'll see you again in the next video tutorial. Later, guys.